And welcome back. Time now to get up to speed on the latest COVID headlines from the weekend.
That's right. Joining us now is infectious disease specialist, Dr. Suman Chakrabarti. And Dr. Suman, we're going to begin with Ontario's numbers. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, just hit 4-digit when it comes to COVID-19 cases, highest yet. Are these cases the result of Thanksgiving just a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, nobody wants to see that 1,000 number, but to be honest, it doesn't really change what I felt over the past month. Actually, 6 weeks now, we've seen a sustained rise. Definitely, these numbers are a bit delayed, and I do think that Thanksgiving played a large part in what we're seeing in this spike. So hopefully, it will start to come down soon. We started our restrictions in the hotspots about 2 weeks ago as well, but there's still all sorts of things that are happening in the background, including workplace outbreaks, return travelers, and also the indoor gatherings that are contributing to all of this.
All right, let's go from Thanksgiving at the beginning of the month to another occasion which ends the month, that of course Halloween. We're just days away, Doctor. And what is the biggest risk? Is it perhaps the potential for lack of distancing? Is it physically handing out treats? What is the biggest risk for people this coming weekend?
You know what? I think the biggest risk is actually something that we haven't discussed a lot. Trick-or-treating, especially when it's outdoors, is actually quite safe. And I think as long as you're not congregating for a long time on a patio, it should be okay. But what I worry about more is the indoor parties. We've all been to an amazing Halloween party at some point, and these things happening are actually much higher risk. So I really urge Canadians that this is not the year to have a party. You want to stick to your household, keep the group small, physically distance, and the parties can wait, hopefully for next year, but right now that is, I think, where the biggest risk lies.
Okay, Dr. Theresa Tam, Canada's top doc, said Saturday that the number of severely ill will likely increase. Are the current measures enough to prevent hospitalization spikes?
I hope so, but obviously this is something that needs to be reassessed from day to day. One good thing is if you look at the modeling data, we are seeing an increased number of hospitalizations, but it's looking around the best case scenario, a slow burn, if you will. We will see increased hospitalizations, but so far, at least I can speak in Ontario, is things have been okay, but we have to have ongoing vigilance. But yes, if things continue to go, for example, what we're seeing in the prairies, you could start to see hospitalizations seeing large spikes. I do think, though, that the targeted measures and sometimes a little bit of blanket measures will be able to help to keep this down. And I think ultimately it will be in control.
All right, this time next week we'll be in November, and parts of Canada already experiencing some winter weather, Doctor, which means, of course, more and more people are staying inside. And I know some governments have already reduced bubble numbers, but should we all be thinking that way and limiting who is in our bubble once again?
I think that would be a great idea. The bubble got a little bit complicated, especially when schools start. And I think that the main thing right now is for the next little bit, next couple of months, you want to be sticking to your household. You don't want to be going to other people's places. You don't want to be having indoor gatherings. Staying with your household right now is going to really help to tamp down these numbers. The more contacts you have, especially indoors, is what's going to increase things. I think it can work. We just have to work together as Canadians to help bring these numbers down and get them under control again.
All right, Dr. Suman, restaurants working very hard to try and stay open and come up with solutions. Enclosed tents and heaters are some of them. Are these restaurants actually safe?
I saw that. I think that's actually a very innovative idea. The one thing I do want to make sure, though, is that the tent and the bubble is not the biggest thing. It's the ventilation that I worry about. So if they have a way of tracking the fact that you're just with your family, people in your immediate household, I think it could be quite safe. The issue, though, is that if the bubble doesn't have a lot of ventilation and needs to be aired out, then it could actually paradoxically be a source of transmission if people from different households are allowed to get together. So I think it's a good idea. I think that we should really evaluate it, but we really have to make sure to look at all of the risk factors before considering it on a wide scale.
All right, well, they certainly could use the help. The restaurant industry, one of, if not the hardest hit from the pandemic. Doctor, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time and the update.
Great to be here. Thanks. Take care.